Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have Linda Smith, the Communications Coordinator for the Organic Humanity Movement. How are you, Linda?
I'm great, thanks, and wonderful to be here with you this morning. And hello to everyone joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. All right, my opening question to you is can you share how you first became involved with Organic Humanity Movement and what drew you to its mission?
Yeah, thanks. I first heard about the Organic Humanity Movement in 2020, and of course, that was during the pandemic. And I attended a meeting that they held around the end of the year, and prior to that, even just learning, but more so even at the meeting and being so inspired by what is their very straightforward and simple message, and that is system change. The system is not working, and it's not working in favor of humanity or the citizens of this country. And that really intrigued my imagination of imagine changing the system
Mm.
or having a new system. How do we even do that? So I was very keen to learn more and understand the process that we're going to be going through and what we're going to be bringing into reality, hopefully. And so system change is the key element. And I mean, obviously there's many elements that will then bring that into reality, because the even when you have new people in government, if the system is still the same, nothing's actually going to change. The system in itself is what is primarily the problem. Something that I also learned recently, I think not many of us have even, let's say, how many people have actually read the Constitution? I have to admit, I haven't. But I have learned from Lauren and others that the Constitution is not designed in our favor, we as the citizens. And we have to remember that, we're paying the government to be running things, taking care of things. And yet we're the ones who are somehow being sidelined or overlooked. Does that make sense? Does that
Yep.
sound does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sound like quite eye-opening? If look, I think a lot of people are noticing that, hang on, here we are.
Mhm.
It's not working. It's and what the real concern beyond that is, if we don't have a system change, where are we going to be in 5 or 10 years or 15 years? Which then brings me to my motivation, besides my interest and my, so let's call it, even commitment to, to having our freedom, and not having our freedom become something that we're losing slowly. And I want to add, even it's happening so slowly that most people are not noticing. Where does that leave our children? Where does that leave our children in the future? Um, and what I often say to people when I'm just chatting about home and my passion, my interest is, if we don't take action and become involved in this area of our lives, and stand up, and when I say stand up, meaning take this action and invite others to join us. What I'm saying is, if we don't stand up now, the potential
Mhm.
is, and this is the sad part, our children never will.
Mm. That's true.
So that's quite a big reason for me, to be in the position that I am in now, where I'm actually, having this conversation with you, that it's for the children. And when I say that, it's, I could say it's for my children, but it's for your children. It's for everybody's children. I mean, I think, let's be honest, anybody who's got children wants their best interests
Mm.
to be, to be taken care of, not to continue in the direction we're going. So again, it comes back to system change being like a restart, a reset. And what I will add here is that we're in the process right now, and this is pretty exciting. We're in the process right now of rewriting the Constitution, and the Electoral Act as well, so that over time, as we gain more, more people are aware of the organic humanity movement and what it stands for and what its goals are, what its values are, and its principles even. I'll share more about that just now. The more people recognize this as being potentially the only solution to a better future, as that moves forward, the future can, let's call it just a better future. I mean, who doesn't want a better future? In fact, every cycle we have where we vote, where the people go out and stand in the queues and make their mark on the ballot, they're doing it with a belief and understanding that it's for a better future. And yet, is it really in the current system? So the Constitution is going to be redrafted. And as I say, it's a learning curve for me in a very big way. I'll add here that I never imagined I'd be, let's call it, involved with politics. But I also want to reframe that and say, for me, it's about human rights. And
all right.
so I've probably answered your question and added a few more things. Thank you.
Nah, no worries. All right. What has been the most rewarding experience in your journey as the communications coordinator for the party?
Well, I would say literally this, even the interview we're doing now, but the rewarding part has been reaching out and making contact with other people who, run YouTube channels, podcasts, media, radio, TV, to get that ball rolling, let's call it. And certainly I can add that, for example, last year before those elections, we were not invited. I mean, there were so many new parties, and I think a lot of people felt overwhelmed. But we did not get a lot of exposure, or maybe even literally nothing. So it's very rewarding to be reaching out and to creating pathways and opportunities to have more people hear about the goals of the organic humanity movement, through system change. And the other thing I must add here is, of course, direct elections, which is something which has never been, well, I say never been, but usually one votes for the party and then the parliament decides who's the leader. But imagine if we directly elected our leaders. And when I say that, it's not even about just the president. It's members of parliament, municipality leaders, people who are then held accountable to the public. And then, this is another one I learned. And how about this? We've only got, at the moment, you could say we've only got half a democracy or half democracy. What I mean by that is we vote them in. Okay. But we don't have the access and the opportunity to vote them out. When what's happening is not in line with what their promises were. So imagine holding people to account. If they promise what they promise and then they deliver, well, everybody's happy. But when they don't deliver, people are not happy. But then there's nothing that can be done about it. So, I mean, all of that is inspiring to imagine. And look, there'll be a process a process in which this would happen. And that's something that obviously would be planned and people will be informed about it. But then we get to have a say. So that's very exciting that we would have the option to vote somebody out.
Of course. Were there any significant challenges or obstacles you faced while representing the party, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I will share with you. So
Hmm.
last year, from about January leading up to March, to be able to, as a new party, to register to be on the ballot, we had the time period from January to March to get 14,000 signatures, and the signature indicated that that person or those group of people who collectively signed that they were supporting to be on the ballot. So 14,000 signatures, it's a significant amount, and myself and literally 26 others took on the task, let's call it, of inviting people to participate and put their signature down, which was required by the IEC. So what was particularly challenging, I'll tell you, is that by the end of February, we had, I think, about 5,000 of the 14,000. And I mean, certainly from my point of view, and well, for everybody, we had the rest of March to get the balance. But you know what happened back then? This was now the challenge. And this was, or rather, what happened is at the beginning of March, the IEC decided that we had 10
Hmm.
days left.
Yo.
And we needed to get 9,000 signatures. 10 days. That was quite challenging. And it really, had us wonder, will we make it? And the remarkable side of it is we did, but that was hard. I say hard, but it took something to keep going and to get it done in a third of the time that we thought we had left. And literally coming up to the deadline, we had enough signatures to go ahead and be registered as a political party. I will add, though, it cost 300,000 Rand to register as a political party. And again, I didn't know these things, but the money that was used had come in from donations, from private individuals, from businesses, or even, let me say, more private individuals who just were committed to us being on the ballot and making progress with our system change the system plan. And so, yeah, 300,000 Rand later. So we're now on the ballot, and it was very exciting to have achieved that. In fact, even as I'm remembering now, it was huge. It was so huge because we were so close. We could have, I hate to say we were close to not making it, but we were, we were close. But we came through. We achieved it, and the end result actually was we actually ended up with about 16,000 votes. So we actually got more in the end than what we needed. And so we were so happy and with our results. And so that would definitely be a challenge that we met and made it happen, even in the face of the reduced time. So as they say never. Just keep going, make it happen, which we did.
How, yeah. How has your role evolved since you first joined the party?
Yes, quite significantly, actually. And again, it's quite even for myself, it's quite amazing just to see what has subsequently transpired. So with us now being on the ballot, the next thing would be to have info tables at the voting stations. And I think Lauren quoted about 20,000 voting stations in the country. So obviously we couldn't have representation at each voting station, but we had a few. I'm not sure of the number at that time, but I will tell you that I was hosting one of the voting tables, and it felt pretty extraordinary to be representing something that offered a new pathway, system change, not just new people, same system, new system, and
Mhm.
with a lot of additional elements that really nurture the side of the people of this country. So we had, in fact, I was even involved in putting up some posters, and I think it was maybe it was early May, and then as I said, hosting the info table and just sharing with people, and we got votes in, I want to say, all the constituencies, that, as I say, even if it was one or two, so the awareness is starting to it's showing up, but at the same time, we aim to grow beyond that. Now, what I will add here is that the goal for the elections in May last year was to get enough votes to get a seat in Parliament. And that's the first step, to have that seat in Parliament. So what I will add here is that was something we did not achieve. We did not get enough votes. And on a personal level, I felt a little disappointed and had to take some time just to sort of regroup and keep going again, because, well, we're going to keep going. In spite of the fact that we didn't achieve our first goal. And it was from that time, between sort of May and September last year, that in conversations with Lauren and others, I then volunteered to be involved with, connecting with media, and that's when I took on the role as a volunteer, that is, of course, of communications coordinator. And so the momentum's growing now. I mean, here we are down a year later, and so we've been doing, reaching out and just creating awareness. And so, I mean, personally, on a personal level, I really am excited to do that, because we need to grow the awareness of what the organic humanity movement stands for. And the best way to do it is, well, media in some way or other. And so my role now is evolving from that to even spokesperson, potentially, as we're doing now, because as I say, I have such a passion and a very strong belief in the power of this plan, and that we look at getting the system changed, and then that becomes a way in which to become a sovereign nation. Mm-hmm. And because right now, there's a lot of interference from overseas, other countries, other organizations, other corporations. The more you realize of what's going on, the more one feels, I believe, compelled to do something. Between the United Nations and WHO, I mean, they're able to do deals and do things that we have no say in. We don't. Where's the democracy? In fact, sorry, going back to the when I mentioned just now about the IEC changing our timeline from 30 days to 10 days, that again was, where's the democracy in that? Did we agree to that? No, were we asked if we're happy with having a reduced time? So it's happening on a big scale, but it's happening on little scales too, or smaller scales. So so sovereign nation, sovereign people. It's potential. It would become a much improved life for the people of this country.
Can you recall a moment when you felt particularly proud of the party's work or your contribution?
Well, I would say, the momentum that's building now with engaging with the media is, so it's not like a once-off, but it's more, it's the momentum that's building. And I mean, just to add that, OHM started in 2018, and I mean, it is now 7 years later. So what I want to say here, we're still here, and the goals are there, the actions are being taken by many volunteers, and for anyone listening and perhaps inspired by what they're hearing or feels inspired to be involved, then I recommend that they look at the website and sign up for the newsletter or even become a member, because it's going to take numbers. At the end of the day, it's about the numbers, and those numbers will come as these conversations are happening more regularly. Interviews and conversations like this, just for people to understand that it is time to do things differently. And I always remember that there's a quote that goes like this. Maybe you've heard it. It goes like this. It says, the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, hoping for different results. And you could say we've been doing the same thing for a very long time, and it's now time to do different things. And it's going to take people. We're going to require people to become active. What I mean by that is, active citizens, people who are having these types of conversations, and looking at the solution, because that's what we need. We need a solution, and we have a solution. Now we need to just bring it into reality, day by day, week by week, and so on.
All right. How do you balance communicating the party's vision with addressing public perception and media narratives?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, we want to engage more fully with media. I mean, it would be wonderful if we were invited. And I can share with you that last year, leading up to the elections, someone within the organic humanity movement, another volunteer, reached out to, for example, SABC, and while other parties were being interviewed, they didn't select to interview OHM, so that's what happened. But again, that's part of the journey. Not every door is going to open, but we're going to keep knocking.
Of course. Yeah. What lessons have you learned from working within the political landscape through the organic humanity movement?
Lessons I've learned. Well, I think one of the key takeaways is that we, the people, need to be engaged with what's going on in our country. And there's probably a great deal of resignation within the hearts and minds of many people. It is the way it is. We can't change it. But what if we could? What if we do? What if we can take back our power? When I say that, we as individuals can often feel, well, what can I do? It's just little me. But what if we shifted that belief to, I can do something. I can talk to people. I can educate people about the solutions that are available. Share. I think the other thing to remember as well, I mean, not that this is really new, but we, the people of this country and many countries, we sit very divided. There's so many different opinions, so many different beliefs. And this divide and conquer is a powerful technique that's being used against us. Because the more you divide, well, the weaker we become. And it's really about finding, or rather bringing into reality, the new system, so that it meets the people, and the people are heard. And as I said earlier, about we get that democracy where we elect our leaders. So instead of parties campaigning, it would be individuals who would campaign. Now imagine the type of person who would take that on. I mean, pretty incredible. But people who are credible, as well as accountable, as well as that they follow through on their promises. So it's a lot. It's actually pretty huge. It's a massive undertaking. But then I sometimes say to myself, but to others as well, someone has to do it. This is it. This is the moment. We've been given this moment. And, I'm grateful. I'm actually personally grateful, as I'm sure many are as well, for this, for this plan that Lauren put together. And perhaps I know you've have chatted with Lauren previously.
Mm-hmm.
So she, as I said, started the organic humanity movement in 2018, and this was after being involved, with the DA in 2016. And so she really saw that the system's not working. It's just not working. So we need to have a new system. We need to bring about system change, and through direct elections, as well as the Constitution and the Electoral Act, and even the School Act as well. So we're already working with many important elements of what it's going to take to bring this forward. And in time, as there is more support, let's say now we've got our seat in Parliament, and in time that there's more support, or rather there is support, great support for the Constitution that is being literally drafted, in this time, that out of that support, the current government system would almost be put on notice. It would come to an end. And one of the roles that the organic humanity movement would be having would be to train and to develop future leaders. So it's there's quite a lot happening, which is very exciting.
All right. Were there any turning points in your journey that shaped your approach to political advocacy?
Well, as I said earlier, political advocacy, as you say, for me, it's, I'm relating to it as human rights. And what I'm also pointing to here is that each of us, has the opportunity to be part of this journey in whatever way works for them. And the way it's worked out for myself, it's important. It's very important to me. And as I speak with people about it, others are also inspired by the concept and the ideas.
Right. How has your personal perspective on politics and social change evolved since joining the political party?
I think it's about the fact that this is a very solid and yet simple plan. And the underlying elements for me are along the idea of, supporting our children in the future. That is the key thing, that it's in the pipeline, and this is the time for this to create more awareness. So, it's still surprising to me that I'm involved in politics, as I said earlier, it never occurred to me that I'd be in. It's definitely, it's driven from the heart, that you just realize that something has to change. And, at the end of the day, it's, as I said earlier, it's about taking back our power and having what we also call empowered citizenry. That's one of the principles. I'll just actually share with you about I'll just read. Should I share with you the principles being liberty, protection of life, respect for earth, self-reliance, continuous progress, and national unity. So that underpins the principles behind this, and those statements and those words are inspiring, something to get behind. You can feel that confidence of, that's what people want. liberty, protection of life. I mean, all of these things are, and self-reliance. I mean, a lot of people are making plans to be self-reliant and not so reliant on the government. I mean, that's the irony. The more we're reliant on the government, the more disempowered we actually are. But also interesting, I saw this a little meme on social media the other day. I'll just read it to you. Which is also very interesting and very on point to what we're talking about here. So it says, our government is backwards. Okay, we are private. The government should know nothing about us. But they are public servants. We should know everything about them. That's food for thought. Yeah, we're private, and the government should know nothing about us. I like that. They should know nothing about us. And they are public servants, and we should know everything about them. But do we? Not now, not at the moment.
All right. My final question to you is, and then I'll get to the viewers' questions for you, is, all right, what advice would you give to someone aspiring to contribute meaningfully to a political movement like Organic Humanity?
I think I would like to say it's about getting involved, even if it's a conversation with friends about what one knows about Organic Humanity movement, or look to get some more information, not only from the website, but to sign up to the newsletters. Obviously, we're on social media as well, and posting regularly and raising so many valuable points and information that really it's going to shape our lives. It is shaping our lives, the way in which the world or our country runs right now. It's shaping our lives, and there's an impact, and you almost, to some degree, you cannot even calculate that impact. The impact. You want to kind of calculate the impact of that way in which it's shaping our lives in a particular way. So it's about getting involved. It's about having your say, because it's we the people that need to stand together to bring about that change. And something else I want to share with you as well, just the word OHM. Now, Lauren came up with the word OHM initially, and it's in electricity, it's the units of resistance. So we are the resistance. And later came Organic Humanity movement. So that's very interesting that it's, for me, I also was very inspired to imagine we're the resistance. And it's a stand we have an opportunity or a choice to take and to make this stand and be the resistance and be the change that needs to happen. Be the change. I mean, that's a phrase people often talk about, be the change you want to see in the world. So for those who are listening and so on, this is potentially it. Like, this is the change that we can be and that we can bring. And yes, we're doing it for ourselves, but primarily, or even more importantly, we're doing it for our future. And then this is the more important, the future of our children. The children who are 5 and 8 at the moment, what will they say in 10, 20 years' time? That's something to give some thought to. What do you want to, what legacy do you want to leave? What difference do you want to have your time on earth make? And that's very inspiring, to be part of something that could change people's lives for the better. And you can say, yeah, I got behind that. I supported that. And I even am present to feeling like this is a conversation that, well, hopefully it does inspire people who are listening. But at the same time, we cannot just, wait and hope things are going to get better. We've got to get in there. We've got to get involved and take the next step. So it's incredible. But we know where we're going. We're knowing what we know what we want to achieve. We're mapping out the plan. We're doing the back end work because it's important. And as we get the back end structures in place, clarity comes forward. The new constitution is going to come together over time. And that to me is very exciting. And I hope people will be curious and interested to find out and learn more about what this potentially offers us, the people of this country.
All right.
So,
Okay, here's the one question here from in the comments, the Highlander. What is the one thing out of the very many that you would like to see a change in this country?
well, yes, that's as you say, one thing out of very many. Well, I'd like to see a change in the schooling, current educational system, and what I mean by that is specifically that there's elements of content and information that is being shared inappropriately. And what I'm talking about is this new, well, I say new, I don't know how new it actually is, but the education system includes comprehensive sexuality education. And this is for 7, 8, and 9-year-olds. Now, I'm astonished. I'm saddened. My children are finished school, but I've got grandchildren. But they're not in school yet. They're too little. But I wouldn't want them to be educated about things that are for later in life. So that would be one thing to change. It has to change, but when is it going to change? It won't change if we don't do something about it.
Yeah.
So yes, that for me is very concerning. That it's being done often without the parents' consent, and the content is, well, as I said earlier, just very inappropriate. And yeah, the impact. I mean, yeah, it's bad. The impact on the children, or the confusion even of for the children. Even you could say maybe their innocence is being stolen.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we need to, yeah.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, yeah, what I was going to add there is just simply we would want to protect their innocence.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it in the comment questions. So all I got to say, thanks so much for your time, and yeah, if there are any further events happening, do let me know, and it'll be nice to catch up with you again in the future.
Most definitely, that'll be great, and thank you for this opportunity. It's been great to share, and yes, we'll take it forward and keep in touch. That'll be great. Thank you.
Likewise. Welcome.